Marcus Garvey was one of the most popular black men in the world. He was a notable activist who fought for the upliftment of black men and women, and while he was both revered and reviled, Marcus was truly one of a kind. But while many of the facts about Marcus can be easily found in books and on the internet, some little-known facts about the visionary activist also deserve recognition. In this video, we'll unveil some of the aspects of his life and achievements regarding education and science. If there's one thing that you can trace to most activists and notable people, it's the fact that their education, inside or outside institutions, tends to help shape their views on life, and Marcus was no different here. After being born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica, Marcus left the country in 1910 and moved to Costa Rica, where he worked for a controversial newspaper. However, after his business fell upon hard times, Marcus traveled through Central and South America before settling in London in 1912. While in London, Marcus was employed as a messenger and handyman for the African Times and Orient Review, a magazine edited by Dusay Muhammad Ali. The magazine regularly criticized the British Empire, advocating for Ethiopianism and home rule for Egypt, a colony of the British at the time. Moreover, during his time in London, he enrolled for a law degree at Birkbeck College in Bloomsbury. At the time, Birkbeck was known to have a diverse community. And interestingly, this was also the period when Garvey began thinking seriously about issues of race and identity. At Birkbeck, Garvey first read Booker T. Washington's Up From Slavery. And as he later recalled, this was the book that made him realize the possibility of being a race leader. Today, the Birkbeck College website lists Garvey as one of its most influential students. He was said to have been a keen and vocal student, occasionally being seen engaging crowds at Hyde Park's Speaker's Corner. Plus, considering that he was promoted to editor for the African Times and Orient Review, many of his works and articles were pretty easy for others to read. While at Birkbeck, Garvey contended with some of the following questions. Where is the black man's government? Where are his king and his kingdom? Where are his president, his country, his ambassador, his army, his navy, his men of big affairs? When he realized that he could not find them, Garvey took it upon himself to make them. And in June 1914, he boarded a ship and made his way back to Jamaica. For a full month, Garvey had the opportunity to reflect on everything he had learned at Birkbeck and in the United Kingdom. And just 5 days after he was back in his homeland, Garvey founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association. Within the association, education has always played an important role. The building of educational institutions was one of the aims and objectives of the UNIA. Moreover, he later created the School of African Philosophy as a course that all members of the association should take. All through his life, Marcus Garvey gave special importance to education and the continued improvement of one's self. In a speech he gave in Harlem in 1924, he said, "But in your homes and everywhere possible, you must teach the higher developments of science to your children and make sure that we have a race of scientists per excellence. For in religion and science lies our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism." However, Marcus didn't just talk the talk, his children were also a testament to his value of proper education. Marcus had two sons, Marcus Jock Garvey and Julius Winston Garvey. Marcus Jr. was the first son of Marcus Garvey. Born in St. Andrew, Jamaica in 1930, Marcus Jr. took his father's shoes and walked in them, quite literally. Just like his father, Marcus Jr. was a freedom fighter and political activist, and in 1990, he became the leader of the United Negro Improvement Association, just like his father. Still, Marcus wasn't just a freedom fighter, he also had a bachelor's degree in mathematics and physics and a master's degree in physics from the University of the West Indies. He earned a master's degree in electrical engineering from City College, CUNY. Marcus Jr. additionally taught mathematics and physics at several secondary schools in Jamaica, as well as the University of the West Indies and at City and Hunter Colleges, CUNY, in New York. Not much is known about Marcus Jr., as he was said to have been a relatively private man, but he died in 2020 at the age of 90. As for Julius, he chose to pursue a career in academia. Born in 1933, Julius was raised in Jamaica. He graduated from Wolmer's Trust High School for Boys in Kingston in 1950, then earned his bachelor's degree from McGill University in Montreal, Canada in 1957. 4 years later, he bagged his MD and CM degrees from the McGill University Faculty of Medicine. Julius has had a medical career that spans almost 70 years. He's a certified cardiothoracic and vascular surgeon. He's worked at the Royal Victoria Hospital, Mount Sinai Hospital of New York, and the University of Maryland Hospital in Baltimore. Julius has also taught at the Albert Einstein College of Medicine, Columbia University, and the State University of New York, amongst others. He's been handling his private practice since 1983, and he continues to be a renowned surgeon to this day. When it comes to a human rights standpoint, probably the most important piece of text that should be referenced is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Adopted by the United Nations in 1948, this declaration enshrines the rights and freedoms of all human beings, regardless of race, nationality, religion, or any other socioeconomic factor. A foundational text in the history of both civil and human rights, this declaration comes with 30 articles that detail the basic rights and fundamental freedoms of any individual. And whenever the topic of human rights is being discussed, this declaration here forms the basis of any decisions being made. But what if I told you that this declaration wasn't necessarily an original thought? In fact, it was actually inspired by a previous human rights document, one that Marcus Garvey had a major hand in propagating. In 1920, the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League held a convention that was presided over by Garvey. This convention was held in Madison Square Garden, and here, the association and the league signed the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World. Amongst the many articles, you have Declaration 39, which states that the colors red, black, and green would be the colors of the Negro race. And it is from this statement that the Pan-African flag was designed. Interestingly, it was also at this event that Garvey was appointed the Provisional President of Africa. Boy, what I'd give to have been a fly on the wall there. Anyway, we see a lot of similarities between the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. For instance, the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World states, "Be it known to all men that whereas all men are created equal and entitled to the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." On the other hand, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. They are endowed with reason and conscience and should act towards one another in a spirit of brotherhood." At the end of the day, both say the same thing. The only difference is that while the Declaration of Rights of the Negro Peoples of the World focuses more on the rights of black people, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights expands that to include all races. Still, the inspiration is pretty clear. So Marcus Garvey was one of the most revolutionary black leaders of his time. He continued to advocate for the autonomy and independence of black people, and while opinions about him vary, there's no doubt that his impact will be felt for decades to come at the very least. His words and works show the importance that he gave to education and how he influenced the whole world. At the same time, Marcus's children definitely proved to be chips off the old block. Whether it was Marcus Jr. and his passion for continuing his father's work, or Julius's scientific and medical prowess, the OG Marcus Garvey definitely must have been proud of his boys.